Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Global Money News Review. My name is Ola. I'm the founder of the Money With Club. And basically, what we do in these sessions is that we discuss economic news, global economic news, and how it affects your pocket. So, if you are someone that is trying to tie the economy to your financial situation, or if you're someone that understands the need for you need to keep track of the economy because it affects your pocket, then this is something that you should subscribe to. So please subscribe, hit notification button so that you don't miss any of these episodes, which happen every week. Saturday, 9 a.m. GMT plus one. And so what we do is that we discuss global news, like I said. So we would start with um, news in the global space, right? Gold. Basically, what has happened is that gold prices have increased. There was a time like 2, 3 weeks ago where we talked of the fact that a gold bag, like the main gold bar, crossed a certain mark in terms of the prices going up and all. And what we are finding is that gold prices are still on the rise. Why is this happening? Basically because gold is one of those things that people fly to when they are unsure of what's going to happen next, right? So what we are seeing is that number one, people are unsure of where the direction of the US elections, where the US election is going to land, or who's going to win the election and what's going to happen after that. There's also the Middle East tensions and then the Ukraine drama, and basically people are saying, let me just hold on to gold. And that's apart from the fact that federal reserves, like central banks, are the report shows that central banks have more what's it called are holding more gold as a reserve as against maybe USD or the Japanese yen or whatever. Well, basically, what does this mean for you as an individual, right? One of the questions I always get is, where do I put my money? How can I invest, right? Now, gold is one of those things that you can do. Gold is one commodity that will always be in demand, right? So know that and know peace. Now, so why gold? Because gold is an inflation hedge. If you are someone in emerging markets that has seen a lot of devaluation in their currency, the good thing is this: gold is has a standard price. If it is the particular quality, it has a standard price globally, meaning that the gold that you buy in Nigeria, once it is tested and certified to be of maybe 90%, 99% purity or whatever, then the price of gold anywhere in the world is the same price, such that if you buy gold today in Nigeria for 100K, and then you decide to travel to the US and you want to sell that gold bar, right? You would sell it at the going USD price. So it's a currency hedge because gold is like gold standard. Yeah. That's one. And then secondly, because when people are on they turn to gold. Gold is usually an inflation hedge. So apart from the currency drama in sub-Saharan Africa and emerging markets, even in developed countries, when there's so much uncertainty, when inflation is skyrocketing, people turn to gold such that the value of your gold will rise, right? So gold is one of those things you should consider adding to your portfolio. Now, the sweet thing about gold is that, especially if you are in the abroad, in the UK, in the US, for example, I also believe Switzerland, and I can research around other European countries. But the good thing is that you can actually buy 1 kg of gold. You can buy smaller gold bars as against like the full major big one. I'm not even sure how much that weighs. But you can buy in clips. You can even buy in the US from Costco. Like, is that available? And then there are also platforms that actually sell gold if you go online and check and do your research, right? But gold is one of those things that we would recommend as part of your investment portfolio. Another way to invest in gold is actually to buy gold from your gold souk. The fact is, if you buy pure gold, necklace, blah 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 blah, right? The fact is that the if it weighs 1 kg and you bought it for $1 per kg, and gold is now $2 per kg, the value of that thing is $2. Now, what you might find is that in trying to sell it, the buyer at the souk might say, okay, I'll buy it from you at $1.80, so that it can actually sell at the $2 that it is at in the market, right? Which is fine, but you will still have that as a store of value. That's one. Another way is to buy gold from a gold bars from like um some online or physical stores, especially in developed countries, not necessarily available in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, Kenya. Yeah. And the final thing is to invest in gold ETFs. Gold ETFs are a thing. What they do is that they actually track the pricing of gold. So as gold prices are going up, then the value of your ETF. And the interesting thing is that if you're in Nigeria, for example, we actually have a new gold ETF that actually is an inflation and devaluation hedge, because the value actually goes up with devaluation and also with as the price of gold moves up and down. And of course, the regular Vanguard and Co, they all have ETFs. Now, if you don't know what ETFs are, go and binge watch my content on this station, on this channel, and you'll find out what ETFs are about and how to take advantage of them. So, yeah, that's that for gold. If you're looking for what to invest in, that's it. Hi, Business Online. You are such a consistent audience here. Thank you so much for being so diligent with us. We appreciate it. And we would like to meet you one of these days and maybe bring you live on the show to discuss with us. That's actually an option. So yeah, up to the next news. Um Out of Nigeria, right? Nigeria approves what's it called? Sorry, I'm trying to get it up. Yeah. Nigeria approves Exxon's 1.3 billion onshore oil asset sale to Seplat. Now, what is that about? The first thing is that a lot of international oil companies have been trying to exit onshore investments in Nigeria, onshore oil assets in Nigeria. What do you mean by onshore? So we have oil on land, and then we have oil in the water, in the Nigerian space, right? But what they are saying, or what they decided to do, was that you see all this onshore Nigeria deal with communities, blah blah blah. They are done with it. So basically, Exxon agreed to sell their onshore oil mining licenses to Seplat 2 years ago, and it had been delayed for forever, right? Obviously, 2 years. But then it has finally been approved. Now, why am I highlighting this? Because the same thing just happened to Shell, where Shell tried to sell to a group, a Renaissance group, let's say conglomerate, can't remember the English of it, but basically a group of companies, oil companies, came together to form a consortium. Yeah, that's the word. And to buy Shell's onshore assets, and then their request was denied, or their approval request was denied. Now, basically, um, taking a cue from Mobile, we would expect that the Renaissance Group will actually go back to renegotiate and to lobby and to come up with a middle ground for all the issues that were raised by the government. But from an investor's perspective, let's look at what this approval of sale means for Exxon and for Seplat. From Exxon perspective, they've been able to free up cash. One, number two, they are now free to focus on where they have their strengths. So what I mean by where they have their strengths, one of the challenges, or the major challenges that they had with the onshore assets, was security, community issues. There's been a lot of drama, and it has degenerated over time. And so they are freeing up that cash. They are freeing up they're letting go of that and the stress that comes with it. And it might not even be profitable, but they made money over the years. So profitable is relative, right? So they are freeing up cash and mind space, mind share, and they are focusing on the offshore assets. So for them, from a strategic perspective, it's a positive thing. Now for Seplat is growing. Seplat is one major oil company in Nigeria. It is listed both on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange. I would presume, and I would check. I didn't actually check before this call, but I could have. But the stock price of Seplat should actually move up on the back of this news. Why? Because they now have new assets, right? They have 4 new oil mining licenses, right? Which means that, and then the nature of oil mining licenses, or the drilling process, right? In interacting with oil people, right? If you don't use an asset immediately, it begins to diminish over time. So they are going to just get in and start running with it immediately. They have lost 2 years, so they have to get up and start running with it. So this should actually bump their stock price up in the short term, and in the long term, over time, once they are able to show that they have surmounted the challenges that Mobil was not able to by managing the locals and the security issues in that space, then you would actually see that they would naturally trend up. Why? Because they now have four additional mining licenses. It means that if they're producing 1,000 barrels, they theoretically can be producing 5,000. With You get what I mean, right? Theoretically, just giving a number, and so their sales, their revenue will go up, and with that comes potential for profit, especially when the oil markets globally are doing well. So, is this a good thing for Seplat? Yes, but from a risk perspective, right? They have some work to do. They need to navigate some challenges that Mobil and Shell and all those guys that have been here for years have not been able to successfully. And so we wish them well on that. Now, for you as an investor, I do not think that Seplat shares are a bad idea, especially because they have the strongest corporate governance amongst the oil companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, because they have some standard reporting they must meet up with. They have a euro bond in issue. For you to issue a euro bond, you must be of a certain standard, if you understand what I mean. So they are a serious company. So if you are looking for oil and gas representation in Nigeria, I would say Seplat is it. Now, just a quick break to say that these sessions are powered by the Money Meet Club. And the Money Club is a community of working professionals or business owners who are learning about investing and taking action. So if you are someone that always ask that question, where should I invest? What does this really mean? I see this, I see that. Which one is which? Where do I start from? I only hear of deals when it is over. Money Way Club is for you. Now, while you are still thinking about it, our website is up there for you to check and subscribe. If you have any questions, ask us. But we also have our free newsletter. So you can subscribe to that. It goes out every Saturday also. And it just gives you like information, education information and stuff. And then finally, please connect with us on our social media handles and also subscribe. Yeah, if you're on YouTube and you are seeing this, please subscribe to our channel and be a good friend. Share with your friend. Now, finally, African news. African news. So I mean, I'm sure you would have seen the news that what's it called that Kenya, there was what's it called there were a lot of protests in Kenya because of increased taxes, right? There was a lot of news in Kenya around the protest, blah blah blah, and they had to suspend it, and they were negotiating. They had to let go of some ministers. There was a lot of drama around that. But what has happened now is that they went to court to fight against this whole. There was one particular tax for that they were supposed to use to fund. Basically, the government was saying pay 1.5% tax. Your company pay 1.5% tax, and the idea is that we're going to use this money to provide affordable housing. And people were protesting. It was part of things that they were protesting about, but they went to court and the court said there's nothing wrong with this. You have to go ahead. Now, I smiled at this because when we were talking about the whole protest in Kenya, right, it's one of those things where it's chicken and egg. The fact is that government needs to raise revenue. I need to raise revenue from somewhere. And if you don't want the government to borrow, then you must be willing to pay taxes. Somewhere money must come from somewhere. Because when you say a country is not developed or underdeveloped, it is that the assets that they have that they should be able to use to convert to cash is not in the right place. Now, for you to get it in the right place, you need to invest, if you understand what I mean. So that process of investing might either mean doing some kind of JV, where someone else, an external party, will own like a portion of that national asset, or you borrow money, or you use taxes to fund that development, right? It must come from somewhere. So whilst I understand that the people of Kenya were upset about the fact that taxes have to be increased, the fact is that Kenya is already struggling on the debt side of things, and they already had to get IMF to shock their Eurobond repayment to get they had to patch to just get past that, right? So they're already in a tight situation. Was it caused by this current government? Most likely not. Definitely not, because these things pile up over time. But do we trust the current government? That is what the government needs to build. So that when you say that you're going to take these taxes and people are going to get affordable housing, we need to be sure that they actually will get it. And that's the conversation. That's the chicken and egg part of it. But that you can avoid that, the government can afford or avoid increasing taxes, is quite unlikely. Like really, really unlikely. And that's just it, right. The countries that you say are developed, look at their tax regime. Their tax regime is tight. Like when I say tight, they are paying taxes. The only thing they will say is, I'm paying my taxes, but I see where my taxes are going. So I technically cannot complain. But sometimes they complain, though. They complain. And so if you want that level of development, you have to understand that it comes at a price. There are very few countries, very few that have successfully used their assets to develop their nation and their collective prosperity, right? Very few of those, and those ones are the ones that are able to say that, oh, maybe when a citizen gets married, they get a free house. You know, those kind of things. It's because when things were chilled, they did what they were supposed to do. Now, if for whatever reason your ancestors were not prudent at that time, then somebody has to pay the price. And if you don't pay the price, you're pushing the can forward, right? So just think about it from that angle. Even if you're in Nigeria, taxes, they just released the tax law. I mean, there's so much coming up there. So while they're trying to reduce the burden on the lower earning individuals, but there's still a lot of tax. They've VAT is the one that everybody, no one can escape, and is direct tax. And they've sent out a schedule of how it's going to go up over time. And the thing about VAT is that you can't escape it. You are going to pay it. Everybody pays VAT. It might be hidden. Like, so for the average person, they might not know that that's why this thing that was 100 naira is now 115, right? But you are paying it without knowing. Yeah. And so it's just important to understand. Final note is that always remember that you can't outsource your health and your finances. You have to engage. Why do I say that? Because the economy is a significant part of your personal finances. If you ignore it, you would be impacted by it without any hedge.